Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! One of the most beautiful things about Victor and Nova's love story is they've never actually told each other how much they love each other. They say it in their actions every single time. And that was more evident than ever before when they shot the Snow Angels music video back in July, when Malachi Burton held Freya Sky in his arms, and without ever telling her how much he loved her, he told it through his actions. And that was the most beautiful thing about the music video for Snow Angels, was how much of an appreciation we took away from it. And how much of an appreciation we've took away from every moment they've celebrated and they've shared in together. Because that's what will define their legacy and really go the distance for these two stars. Because they will become mega superstars overnight. Because of how much they've appreciated each other and how much they've appreciated these moments they've had the chance to celebrate together with each and every one of you. I think one of the most unforgettable moments from the Worlds Collide Tour this past summer was when Malachi Burton threw his arms around Freya Sky, and he knew from that moment forward she was going to go on to achieve greatness, and she was going to go on to become a mega superstar seemingly overnight, because she was destined for great things. And it had everything to do with how much he believed in her and how much he supported her. And I think that because of how much they've supported each other, that's why Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires presented us with a chance to experience a far more beautiful script than we ever imagined. One of the greatest honors of my life came in the form of this past summer having the chance to review Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires in a way that no other reviewer on YouTube had ever had the chance or the privilege of having the chance to review Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires, because many of them were watching Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires for the first time ever. I have watched Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires apart from everybody else over 1,000 times, and each time I've watched it, it felt like I was watching it for the very first time for just how beautiful these four superstars were telling their love stories, about how Zed and Addison wanted nothing else more in the world than to have the chance to spend the rest of their lives together, how Victor and Nova had met each other for the first time after having seen each other in a reoccurring dream, and how we could relate to their story, and how we felt as if we were a part of it from the very beginning. I think that they will go on to hold a very special place in our hearts for many years to come, and they will be some of the most celebrated Disney franchise characters of all time. And you can place the comparison upon Victor and Nova to any power couple that we've seen, from Troy Bolton to Gabriela Montez to countless others that have been a part of every Disney Channel franchise over the years. But I think nothing ever really comes close to Victor and Nova's love story, or the love story of Zed and Addison, which is a love story that I've never ever wanted to say goodbye to, that I've never ever wanted to let go of. Because I've always had this issue with wanting to never say goodbye to these stars that have held a special place in my heart for forever. I never wanted to do it with Troy Bolton and Gabriela Montez from High School Musical fame. I never wanted to say goodbye to TV franchises like Wizards of Waverly Place, which is now Wizards Beyond Waverly Place, which your Descendants of Zombie stars had the honor of attending, which was awesome in its own right, or Hannah Montana. I was always a big fan of past Disney Channel TV shows and movies, but I don't think I've ever been as appreciative of a franchise or franchises such as Descendants of Zombies for the way that these characters presented themselves, represented themselves, and how their stories were told. Because each character from Descendants of Zombies had a very authentic way of telling their story, from Red to Chloe Charming to Ruby Rose Turner's character Bridget, who I miss so much. I've always believed that some of these characters that have kind of become a part of our lives because of the Descendants of Zombies franchises have never really had their stories told and completed, which will forever and always present a chance and represent a chance for a reemergence and a retelling of their story. Because as much as I miss Ruby Rose Turner, I will forever and always believe and support the idea of her story having never been told and completed, because there is so much of a chance to see a reemergence of all these past and present stars to retell their stories to a whole new generation of fans, because the reality of life is there are more people falling in love with Descendants of Zombies than ever given credit for. There are thousands of people, by the thousands, representing Descendants of Zombies and believing in this franchise more with each passing day, myself included. On July 31st, 2015, I say this because where were you on July 31st, 2015? I was sitting at home on that night after having seen some initial promos having been aired of the original cast of Descendants featuring Dove Cameron, Sophia Carson, and Cameron Boyce. And I remember how excited they were over the premiere of Descendants, which eventually became Zombies by 2018. There were 3 years separating the two franchises, but Zombies would go on to achieve so much for verity, for how you could tell a story about a girl falling in love with a zombie, which was a very different concept in a very different generation that you would have thought would have been represented more effectively during the era of Twilight and the battle between vampires and werewolves and all this confliction, because there was a specific era that was represented by the battle between vampires and werewolves and true love reigning supreme. I remember how crazy everybody was about Twilight eventually becoming the Vampire Diaries and True Blood, even so many adaptations of Dracula being retold over the years, because I always had a greater appreciation for vampire TV shows and how their stories were told. And there's always and forever been questions in the minds of fans of the Vampire Diaries of what would ever happen if Stefan could re-emerge and come back and rekindle his relationship with Caroline, or Damon and Elena's relationship could have been taken further. One step further, if you would. We have seen so many great TV shows represent themselves through telling stories of vampires and werewolves that have been represented effectively over the years, and I really think that Descendants of Zombies would have really stood its own in this generation and would have represented itself so phenomenally, but it's doing an exceptionally great job in a generation that you wouldn't expect for vampires and werewolves and everything else that goes with it to be represented in. It's really, holding its own, it's really garnering a reputation for itself, and it's receiving rave reviews, and it's ultimately becoming one of everybody's favorite franchises of all time. How many of you have slumber parties and you watch the entire Zombies trilogy, or you talk about zombies with your friends in phone conversations that never seem to end? I talk about these moments because these are moments that have forever and always meant something to each and every one of our hearts, that have bonded us closer together and made us the best of friends. And that's why we will forever and always remain friends, because we can discuss, outcomes or storylines that could possibly happen in the Zombies franchises with our friends time and time again. I've seen this firsthand where people have become friends and remained friends for over a decade, and they're still the very best of friends to this very day because of how they bonded over Descendants of Zombies. And that's something I give you guys a profound amount of credit and respect for, because it seems like a lot of YouTube creators can never seem to put this into perspective, how much Descendants of Zombies has gone on to mean to each and every one of our hearts. My favorite character in the Descendants of Zombies franchise will forever and always remain Ruby Rose Turner, for how she's made me a better person, and I turned out to be a better person having everything to do with Ruby Rose Turner, because she had such a profound impact on my heart. And I would be lying to you guys if I told you that I didn't miss Ruby Rose Turner having been a part of the Descendants franchise for how much she offered in such a short amount of time. I will forever and always believe that her time with the franchise was very short-lived, and I can never seem to say enough nice things about Ruby Rose Turner, because there are never enough reviews about everything Ruby has going on ever posted on YouTube. I know every night there is somebody uploading a video about Descendants of Zombies with their thoughts in it on Victor and Nova for you guys, which really have never made any sense to any fan of Descendants of Zombies, because there's a certain approach and a pride and a passion that goes with every video that you ever record or ever may attempt to record about Descendants of Zombies. You really got to understand these love stories like Allie and Noah from The Notebook, Miley Cyrus's love story from The Last Song, and obviously Victor and Nova's love story, which we're getting used to in Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires. I know that a lot of people had great difficulty in saying goodbye to Zed and Addison's love story for how much it had meant to each and every one of our hearts for so many years. It's really hard to believe that it's been a decade past since Zombies first came into our lives, over 7.5 years since Zombies was first introduced as one of the latest concepts that Disney was promoting on Disney Channel, but it very quickly touched our hearts for how this love story was told. And over the years, more supernatural characters will become introduced to us as part of the Zombies franchise. By Zombies 2, it was werewolves. By Zombies 3, it was aliens. And now Addison was really embracing her true calling as a werewolf, eventually an alien by Zombies 3. It was really cool how her story was being retold through the generations so many times, and how many people fell in love with it because of that. Because many of us saw ourselves through the eyes of the character Addison, and how she was really the embodiment of acceptance, because that was always the reoccurring theme in the Zombies franchise. And if there's one thing that Addison's character will forever and always be missed for, it's acceptance, because this has always been the reoccurring theme in Zombies, and more often than enough, something that we could relate to. And I know that people have been making ridiculous assumptions about how Descendants of Zombies characters have never really had a place in Christmas, but I have always and forever believed if they can have a special place in each and every one of our hearts, regardless of the time of year, they will forever and always hold a special place in our hearts because of Christmas and how much they've meant to it. Because I remember years ago when Sophia Carson would perform the song Chillin' Like a Snowman, which was a remake of Chillin' Like a Villain from Descendants 2's soundtrack, and how celebrated Chillin' Like a Snowman became, and how she celebrated the premiere of that song with the Olaf character on the stage at the holiday celebration for Disney back in 2017. We've always had a way of tying in Descendants and Zombies characters to different times of year, very festive times of year like Halloween and Christmas. And through the years we've celebrated it. And we've never ever forgotten the profound impact that Descendants and Zombies has gone on to have in our hearts, and how these characters have gone on to achieve so much recognition and rarity through the years, which is something they will forever and always be celebrated because of, and never ever forgotten because of the profound impact they've had on our hearts. I know with 100% certainty that Descendants and Zombies has gone on to have such a profound impact on my heart, because I not only had the chance to talk about Descendants and Zombies, I had the honor of meeting thousands of people who have felt inspired by their favorite characters and all these definitive moments that have made them fans of Descendants and Zombies. And through celebrating these moments with each and every one of you because of characters like Victor and Nova and how much they've gone on to mean to each and every one of our hearts through how their story has been told and represented, because whoever thought that a Daywalker and a Nightwalker would fit perfectly together and they would go on to mean so much to each other, not only on the set of Zombies, but when the camera is turned off, they are so appreciative of each other and they believe in each other so much. I think the one thing that has forever and always been exemplified and really magnified when it comes to Victor and Nova is just their friendship. And that's something, the one thing that they are never ever going to be forgotten about, because I think that we all dream about a time in our life where we could meet somebody that could forever and always remain friends with us, that we could tell everything to, that could help us make sense of everything going on around us. And the reality of life is this is happening for someone somewhere out there today more often than ever given credit for. But I think this is what's made Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires one of the most powerful scripts of all time. Because the one thing about vampire TV shows is just how beautiful these love stories have been told and retold over the years, like Elena and Damon from Vampire Diaries, or Stefan and Caroline. That was one of the most beautiful retelling of a story of all time. I remember in season 7 of the Vampire Diaries when Stefan and Caroline realized they wanted to spend the rest of their lives together, so much so that he would ask her to marry him, and she accepted his invitation. And from that stemmed one of the most beautiful love stories of all time that we really took a chance on more than anything. I know I tried to get into True Blood, but I could never get into it as much as what I had a greater appreciation for the Vampire Diaries, for how the story was told and just how unpredictable each episode was. I think there was something like 170 episodes dropped of the Vampire Diaries, which is why I can really appreciate how Freya Sky really loved that TV series so much, because I think we can never seem to get enough of this kind of thing. And I think that as time goes on, we're going to have a greater appreciation for how Nova's story is going to be told, because she's taken over the responsibility of the lead as the main Zombies character, who is going to have her story told and portrayed the way it's forever and always been meant to be portrayed. I think that Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires set up beautifully for the passing of the torch. I think that more Disney franchises could have moments like these. We may have never seen an official passing of the torch from Kylie Control to Dove Cameron, from Mal to Red, but I think it was very powerfully done how Dove Cameron had believed they had gotten to a point where the stories of the original Descendants cast had been told and completed, and it just wouldn't feel right without Cameron Boyce. Although I have forever and always believed that Cameron Boyce would have wanted the legacy of the Descendants franchise to continue, and one of the most powerful ways to honor his legacy that he had left behind would have been to retell this story to a whole new generation with the same cast and offering expansions off of this story, because there are so many distant worlds and so many characters that have often been underappreciated who could have something to do with the Descendants franchise more than ever before. Do you guys remember when they opened up The Rise of Red, where they talked about how Mal and Evie and Carlos and Jay had gone on to spread the message of Auradon, the distant worlds? That is a movie in its own right. That's an easy hour-and-a-half long script, 90 minutes easy, to dedicating to Descendants and Zombies. And I think there's always and forever been an opportunity to see more expansions in this franchise and more, stories to be presented. And I think what it comes down to is how much creative energy you want to exemplify, which is why I've always and forever believed that you guys have deserved a dedicated director to be sitting in that director's chair when it comes to Descendants and Zombies. And that's why I forever and always advocated to get in as the writer and producer of Descendants and Zombies, because if Jonathan Clarke was the writer and producer behind behind Descendants of Zombies, magic will really be coming to the forefront, and there will be a greater appreciation on how happily ever after exists for everybody, and how everybody has a chance at finding true love. Because no matter who you are, from wherever you're watching this video or where you may be hearing my voice, I think everybody has a chance at finding true love. It may take you longer than some people to find it, because it seems like forever people have had a way of finding true love, more than perhaps you yourself have. But I think everybody has a way of finding true love in their own lives. It may take you longer to find it, because everybody does have an individual light, and I think everybody eventually does find that individual light. I've always believed that, because one thing that I've always wanted to spread on every video that I've ever uploaded on this YouTube channel is an emphatic message of kindness, which you guys have helped me spread over the years and over the course of 725 plus videos that have been uploaded here on this YouTube channel. You know, the more that I try to put this into perspective, it becomes harder each time, because I can never seem to believe or realize that over 100,000 views have happened for this YouTube channel. Putting this into perspective for everybody, that means at least over 100,000 people have watched this YouTube channel, and that is our latest milestone, which is something I can never express enough appreciation and or gratitude for having happened, because I never thought this YouTube channel would see 500 views or 500 subscribers, because of how much of a challenge it is for somebody to accumulate and bring your YouTube channel up to 500 subscribers. But this seemingly happened for me overnight, which is why I will never ever forget the profound impact that Descendants of Zombies and all these characters have gone on to have on my life. Because I think that the more appreciation that we show for characters like Victor and Nova and Red and Chloe, the greater appreciation we will take away from Descendants of Zombies every single time. There are over 10 million people across all social media platforms that have gravitated to Descendants of Zombies, who have had a greater appreciation showcased for their passions that have existed and thrived because of Descendants of Zombies. And because of this, I am really excited, and I've never felt more honored to be a part of this future, regardless of what this future has in store. Because I always speak from the perspective of a fan, and I record every video that I've ever uploaded here with an open heart and an open mind, because I think it's the most powerful way to tell people how you truly feel about Descendants of Zombies. If I knew what was going to happen in Descendants of Zombies, I would be the first one to tell you guys on every video that I've ever uploaded. But because I don't know, that's what makes it so exciting for me being a fan of Descendants of Zombies. The only thing I can seem to ever do is offer you predictions about what direction I think Victor and Nova's love story is headed in. For those of you who are wondering if we'll see them share a kiss in the Zombies franchise, I think it will be a long time coming, but because it's a long time coming, there will be more meaning attached to when they finally do share a kiss. I think it has everything to do with their age and how the writers and producers think it wouldn't be an effective way to distribute their love story and to tell their love story if they kissed early on. By the time that Freya Skye gets a bit older and Malachi Burton gains a greater appreciation for his role as Victor, I think that will be the time. The time will be more than perfect to have them share a kiss, and like I just said, there will be more meaning attached to it, and it will give us something to, find a greater appreciation within by the time they do share a kiss. I think it will happen probably within the next 2 or 3 years, because off of camera they've been kissing each other nonstop. So because they've been seen kissing each other nonstop off of camera, it's bound to happen in the franchise, and when it finally does happen, I think more people than ever given credit for will have a greater appreciation for it. And I know critics will take very differently to this and have a different perception when it comes to Victor and Nova's relationship on and off of camera, but I think that's where I will come in, and I will forever and always take bullets more proudly than I ever have for every fan of Descendants of Zombies, because you guys have deserved far better reviews when it comes to your favorite characters and all these moments that have brought you to this definitive moment that truly has defined you for having been a fan of Descendants of Zombies. Having said that, I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you so much to everybody who has shown an endless amount of love and support for this YouTube channel, because I honestly don't know where I'd be without your love and support, guys. You have shown so much heart and dedication for this YouTube channel every single time that I've ever uploaded a video that I can never seem to put into words just how appreciative I am of every follower that I've ever had. So hopefully, if you're a first-time watcher of these videos, you will find time in hitting my subscribe button, because I promise you guys I will do right by you every single time, and I will show your favorite stars the honor and the respect and the justification they have forever and always deserved, because this has been perceived by myself as the greatest honor of my life to have, to sit in front of this microphone and to have shared with you my thoughts on the direction of this franchise, which we still have a long way to go because of, and something to be really excited about for that foreseeable future. I feel like I've been a part of the Descendants of Zombies franchise for forever, and there's always been something associated with my voice each and every single time I express a desire and a feeling towards Descendants of Zombies, and there's forever and always been something associated with my voice each and every single time. So for that, I would just like to take this opportunity to say thank you so much for having believed in this YouTube channel and believing in me as your voice of Descendants of Zombies, because I never ever thought this YouTube channel would much less see 500 views, much less 100,000 views over the period of 1 year. On August 5th, 2024, this YouTube channel first premiered, and it's been a part of our lives, a dedicated part of our lives for what feels like forever, and I have each and every one of you to thank for that. Thank you so much for having believed in me as much as what you have, because as far as I'm concerned, this story is far from over, and we still have a long way to go, and so many unforgettable moments to yet create and to share in as fans of Descendants and Zombies. So if you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, I will be back sometime between now and sunset with one final video before I sign off for the evening, so keep watching for that video to drop sometime throughout today and this evening in my video archives on my YouTube channel, because having the honor to record so many wonderful videos that people have drawn inspiration from countlessly over Descendants of Zombies has become the greatest honor of my life. Having said that, guys, I'm your host, Jonathan Clarke. I will join you later on this evening with a brand new video about either Descendants of Zombies or possibly both, as we discuss the undeniable future for Descendants of Zombies, because there is a future in store and one for us to be excited about and cheer in together. Having said that, don't forget to hit my like button, my subscribe button, and to ring my bell each and every single time that I ever upload a video here on this YouTube channel for the fans of Descendants of Zombies. Thank you so much for having allowed me to have been a part of your life as your voice of Descendants of Zombies, as we continue to discuss the undeniable futures that we have in store for Descendants of Zombies, which is something to be really excited about. Thank you so much for having watched this video.